Let's hear from some of the students. With Sarah, you're 21, starting at Nottingham Trent University in October. What do you think of the idea of a graduate tax, as opposed to, say, tuition fees?
I think it's a really good idea. I'm actually really pleased that the graduate tax is being proposed. I think it's going to be a lot more accessible for a lot more students that don't necessarily want to go to university. I think it will...
Why do you say that?
I think with tuition fees at the moment, if a potential increase in tuition fees will make universities compete a lot more, and I think with no upfront fees, with the abolishment of upfront fees, students will want to go to university and have confidence that they'll be able to pay back whatever they earn from that.
So it's not debt hanging
around?
Yeah,
absolutely, it's not debt, it's a contribution.
So do you have
back.
any worries about what you face when you go to university?
Absolutely, I've got a few concerns. My main concern is I'm obviously going to be paying £3,290 for this 10-11 academic year. I want some assurance from the government that won't raise during my 3 years having a degree.
Is that something you can say that?
No, I can't give an absolute assurance because Lord Brown, who is looking at university finance, is reporting in the autumn. I've asked him to look at this option of linking it to earnings, but the fact is more money is going to have to be raised for universities. That's one of the options. I would much prefer a system, what you call graduate tax, but the contribution related to earnings. I'd prefer that, but we're not ruling anything out. We can't do that.
Kit, you're 24, you graduated from St Martin's College of Arts and Design, you're a member of Conservative Future. What do you think of a graduate tax?
I think it's broadly good, and I really welcome that the Coalition's listening to NUS's lobbying for 2 years, and especially something that the nation's officers voted on, nation's students have voted on. Now you're being responsive. I am concerned about the emphasis on STEM subjects and what's going to happen if subjects like mine in the arts, where I have a negative graduate premium over a lifetime as a male arts graduate. That's my prospect at the moment if I go on the standard route. And I really want to make sure that money's not going to be taken away from institutions like mine, where we don't produce the highest earners, but we produce a high cultural impact that's really significant.
Well, there is a good reason for supporting STEM subjects, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. One reason is that they contribute massively to the economy as a whole, and we have an enormous shortage of them. An arts degree can be extremely helpful to you. I mean, as you say, there are industries looking for really good people in creative arts and applying them commercially. So it's not as if it's a dead end by any means. It can be very productive as well as enjoyable.
Let's bring in Seth. You're 25, PhD student and a former chair of Cambridge student Lib Dems. So you campaigned presumably against you campaigned against tuition fees. Yep. So I mean, how do you view this?
I can respect the fact that it isn't yet government policy, that the Finns is very much thinking aloud. But I think it's barking mad. It's very badly thought through. I mean, there is a reason why no other country in the world has introduced a graduate tax successfully. You haven't really, I think, fundamentally addressed the issue of people going abroad to avoid this graduate tax. I mean, I very much worry about the kind of society we would live in, whereby my generation would be encouraged to become a generation of tax dodgers and tax evaders. Fundamentally, you would be talking about... Or
study abroad, presumably, because you could study abroad and then come back.
Well, yes, or you can study in Britain and then leave entirely. But you'd be talking about the people who move abroad and who are rather wily about the system in essentially leaving all obligations entirely, whereas students who decide to work here would pay 2 or 3 times over to make up for that.
I mean, we know that Lib Dems have done quite well in university towns. Sometimes some would say because of this. Is that your experience, that you get a lot of votes out of this?
But I'd go further than that. I mean, I don't think it's actually the student vote per se that is necessary an element in this. Liberal Democrats represent in many ways what you could call the student plus vote. It's academics and lecturers and teachers. It's key public sector workers with university degrees. We have a mandate from many sections of the community. I think it's, as well as being a matter of self-interest, to do with our vision of society in encouraging people to go into public service. And very often these are graduates.
Well, I mean, the issue is, what are the alternatives? I mean, the only way of avoiding the problems you described is for it to be completely free, and in an ideal world that should happen. But and who's going to pay for it when the financial position of the country doesn't allow that to happen? You can have upfront fees, so everybody comes to the university, they pay in front, so they can't subsequently avoid it. Well, that deals with that problem, but it's a massive deterrent to people who come to university and don't have the cash. So you're then left with a graduate contribution after they have left. We've got that system at the moment. I think it is unfair because of the way it operates, and I'm looking at ways of improving it, but the current system is open to exactly the problem that you described, that people can come here from Europe, maybe not try to avoid repaying it, people emigrating. Of course, those things happen in a mobile world.
What about the angle within the party that Seth is reflecting there? That people feel that you've not really got a handle on this? And this
well, the feedback I've had, and I've only launched this idea today and made the announcement that we're asking Lord Brown to look at this, the feedback from the party has been a very positive one, actually, because they realise that, you know, we're trying to change, as a coalition, a system that is generally seen to be unfair, because it doesn't make any distinction between people who are very high earners when they graduate and people on low earners, and that's what we're trying to do.
So whatever happens, you are absolutely dead set against tuition fees?
Well, indeed, it was a system we were committed to opposing.
But you also said it was a massive deterrent to people going to university. But according to UCAS, the number of applications is up 11.6% this year on last year.
Well, I think that proposition occurred in the conversation where we're talking about a big increase. And you know, the more something is an upfront fee as opposed to something that you defer and you can pay according to your income, the more of a deterrent it's likely to become.
Seth, do you want to come back?
Well, I don't think that fundamentally addresses how university graduates will be affected by this. The Liberal Democrats certainly don't have a mandate for this, because we went into the election promising essentially a state-run education system, and we very clearly identified the areas of public spending where we would make the savings, which would actually pay for this. I know that was very controversial. There was a huge debate within the party, and this was the agreed position.
But isn't that the nature of coalition government?
That is the nature of coalition. But this is the thing. Half the coalition is made up of people who are committed to cutting back part of the public sector for ideological reasons, and I understand Vince is being bounced into this position.
No, I'm not bounced into anything. It's not ideological. Not ideological at all. We're faced with a practical problem of a massive hole in the public finances. Had a Labour government been returned, they made it very clear that there would be cuts in my department, which is about university, 20-25%. Major economies were going to have to be made. We've got to try and do this in a sensible and a fair way. I didn't want to see universities destroyed by massive cuts in quality. So, you know, graduates are going to have to pay more. The question is, do we do it in relation to their earnings, their means, or do we do it on a flat rate basis? That's the choice we face.
OK, Secretary of State, thank you all very much. Thank you.